The world's first registered vaccine against the coronavirus infection, which was developed in Russia, was named Sputnik 5 after the successful launch of the first man-made satellite by the Soviet Union in 1957. Russian President Mr Vladimir Putin, beating US President Donald Trump, Operation Warp Speed, made this announcement, emphasizing resurgence of Russia as global superpower. Mr. Putin also said that one of his daughters has already taken the vaccine and only side effect she experienced was a high temperature of 38 degrees Celsius for one day. The science behind Sputnik 5 is straightforward. It is an adenoviral vector vaccine like the ones being tested by Oxford-AstraZeneca, CanSino, Biologics and Johnson & Johnson. Russian Healthcare Ministry's Gamaleya National Research Institute of Epidemiology and Microbiology conducted successful clinical trials of the COVID-19 vaccine in June-July and launched Phase 3 trials last week involving thousands of volunteers. Russian Health Ministry plans to begin mass production of the vaccine as soon as next month and launch a mass vaccination drive in October. The vaccine will enter civilian circulation on January 1, 2021. Russia said 20 nations have pre-ordered 1 billion doses of Sputnik 5 and that with foreign partners it would be able to produce 500 million doses a year in 5 countries. Russia has not said anything about the price. While several experts globally have called the vaccine's swift registration without completing Phase 3 trials a Pandora's box, Russian Health Minister Mr. Mikhail Albertovich Murashko said, "Although I know it works fairly effectively, forms stable immunity, and it has gone through all the necessary checks. Although none of the coronavirus vaccines under development has proved its efficacy yet in clinical trials. 6 vaccines are in Phase 3 efficacy trials involving thousands of people. Oxford University, working with the Swedish-British pharmaceutical group AstraZeneca, hopes to have results by September, while the US biotech company Moderna, partnering with the US National Institutes of Health, is aiming for the end of the year, possibly November. Clinical tests of 2 Chinese vaccine candidates, Sinovac and Sinopharm, are also well underway. Sputnik 1 was the first artificial Earth satellite. The Soviet Union launched it into an elliptical low Earth orbit on the 4th of October 1957. It orbited for 3 weeks before its batteries died and then silently for 2 more months before it fell back into the atmosphere. Sputnik 2 was launched into Earth orbit on the 3rd of November 1957 and was the first to carry a living animal, a Soviet space dog named Laika. Laika died on the 4th orbit due to overheating caused by an air conditioning malfunction. Sputnik 3 was launched on the 15th of May 1958 from Baikonur Cosmodrome by a modified R-7SS-6 ICBM. The scientific satellite carried a large array of instruments for geophysical research of the upper atmosphere and near space. Kорабль Sputnik 4 was launched in 1961. Carrying the mannequin Ivan Ivanovich, a dog named Chinushka, some mice and a guinea pig, it was a test flight of the Vostok spacecraft. The spacecraft was only intended to complete a single orbit, so it was deorbited shortly after launch, and re-entered on its first pass over the Soviet Union. During the descent, the mannequin was ejected from the spacecraft in a test of its ejection seat, and descended separately under its own parachute. Kорабль Sputnik 2, also known incorrectly as Sputnik 5 in the West, was the first spaceflight to send animals into orbit and return them safely back to Earth. Launched on the 19th of August 1960, it paved the way for the first human orbital flight, Vostok 1, which was launched less than 8 months later. The spacecraft carried 2 dogs, Belka and Strelka, 40 mice, 2 rats and a variety of plants, as well as a television camera, which took images of the dogs. The spacecraft returned to Earth a day after its launch. Telemetry revealed that 1 dog had suffered seizures during the 4th orbit. All of the animals were recovered safely.